Most people never realize when they're being broken. They just slowly surrender piece by piece until one day they wake up and discover they've lost control of everything that matters. They let fear decide their moves. They let others define their worth. They let the world write their story. But there's a different path. A path Machiavelli walked and understood long before modern psychology proved him right. He knew that the untouchable mind isn't built on positivity or kindness. It's built on something far more powerful: absolute control. He believed that your mind is your kingdom, and if you don't rule it with precision and discipline, someone else will exploit every weakness you leave exposed. Think about it for a second. Being mentally untouchable isn't some rare gift you're born with. It's a skill you construct deliberately, piece by piece, through discipline, detachment, and ruthless strategy. The world constantly tests you with rejection, betrayal, and failure, throwing everything at you to see if you'll break. Most people crumble under this pressure. But you're different. You're here because you're tired of letting emotions hijack your reality. You're here because you want to master your reactions, control your focus, and own your peace like a silent king ruling his kingdom completely and invisibly. So before we go deeper, answer this question honestly. Do you control your mind, or does the world control it for you? Because the answer to that single question determines whether you'll rule your life or be ruled by it. If you let the world control your emotions, you'll always be its victim. Always reactive, always weak. But if you take control of your mind right now, you become untouchable. Untouchable by failure because you see it as data. Untouchable by betrayal because you expect it. Untouchable by chaos because you observe it from above. Every challenge sharpens you instead of breaking you. Every insult becomes a lesson instead of a wound. From this moment forward, start thinking like Machiavelli thought. Detach from emotion like he did. Observe human behavior like he observed it. And use discipline as your armor and silence as your deadliest weapon. Because the moment you rule your mind completely, no one can ever touch your peace again, no matter what they do or say or try. Now, before we dive into these 7 ruthless lessons that will transform how you think, how you move, and how the world perceives you, I need you to lock this phrase into your mind and drop it in the comments right now. Say it like you mean it. From today, I choose strength over emotion. Number 1, control the narrative. Power begins in perception, and perception determines everything. The way others see you controls how they treat you, how they trust you, and most importantly, how they fear you. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He knew the world isn't ruled by truth but by appearance, by what people believe rather than what's actually real. People don't analyze your true intentions. They respond to your presentation. They don't study your actual mind. They react to the image you project. In a world obsessed with appearance, the one who controls the narrative controls reality itself. You can be wise, skilled, and powerful, but if you allow others to define your story, you hand over your power before the battle even begins. The biggest mistake most people make is believing truth alone will protect them. But it won't protect you. Truth is too quiet, too subtle, too easily ignored. Machiavelli once said, "Men judge by the eye rather than by the hand because everyone can see but few can touch." And he meant that the world reacts to what it sees, not what actually is. People decide your value before you ever speak. They decide your strength based on your posture, your tone, your calmness, your mystery. If you look uncertain, the world consumes you. If you look controlled, they hesitate before testing you. To become mentally untouchable, you must become the author of your own narrative. You must deliberately shape how others interpret your silence, your actions, your choices, even your mistakes. Never explain yourself excessively. The moment you start defending yourself, you've surrendered authority. A calm silence is infinitely louder than desperate words. Let them assume. Let them guess. Let them wonder what you're thinking. The less they know, the more power you hold. In every room, there's an invisible war for dominance, a silent battle of perception, and the loud ones want attention, while the smart ones want control. When you walk in, you don't announce who you are. Your presence speaks before you do. People sense confidence long before they comprehend it. They feel authority long before they hear it. Every gesture, every pause, every subtle expression communicates one message. I am in command. You don't need validation. You need precision. Understand this fundamental truth. When you control perception, you bend reality itself. A person who appears unbothered is perceived as strong. A person who looks desperate is perceived as weak. You can face chaos and still appear calm, and that illusion alone protects you more than 1,000 defensive words ever could. That's the psychology of influence and persuasion. The human mind believes what the eyes repeat. If the world keeps seeing you composed, confident, and strategic, it treats you accordingly, even before you've proven anything. Machiavelli believed reputation is the foundation of all power. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are," and he meant that appearance shapes destiny. Appear strong even when uncertain. Appear unshaken even when pressured. Control your tone, your gaze, your words, and your energy down to the smallest detail. Your silence should be louder than other people's noise. When people try to label you, don't react. Rewrite the label through your actions. When they underestimate you, let results speak. When they question you, respond with calm confidence. Control isn't about manipulation, it's about direction, deciding how your energy and image are perceived in a chaotic world. Once you master this lesson, you stop chasing validation and start commanding respect naturally. You no longer live by how others define you, you define yourself. The one who owns his story owns his destiny completely. Number 2, detach from emotion. Emotion is the easiest weapon the world uses to control you, and the moment someone can trigger your anger, sadness, or fear, they own you completely. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone else in history. He observed that people who react emotionally are predictable, and predictable minds are easy to manipulate and easy to destroy. Detachment isn't coldness, it's strength disguised as calm. It's the power to observe chaos without letting it enter your mind. When you detach, you stop bleeding energy on things that don't deserve your focus. You stop reacting to every insult, every disappointment, every false expectation. You start responding with control instead of emotion, and in that moment, you become genuinely dangerous. Most people take pride in being real, thinking emotional expression is strength, but uncontrolled emotion is vulnerability disguised as honesty. When you react too quickly, you reveal your triggers. You expose exactly where you can be attacked. People sense this vulnerability unconsciously, and they'll push those buttons to control you. That's how manipulation actually works, not through force, but through emotional access. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally," and he meant that wisdom lives in control, responding only when it serves your purpose. The fool reacts instantly to everything. The wise stay still until it's time to strike. Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop being ruled by feelings. You can feel pain without drowning in it. You can acknowledge betrayal without letting it destroy your peace. You can experience anger without acting from it. The secret is elegantly simple. You are not your emotions. You are the observer watching them pass. Every emotion is like a passing storm, loud and wild and temporary. Don't chase the thunder. Stand still and watch it pass. That stillness is pure power. It's what Machiavelli called the strength of command, the ability to stay calm when everyone else collapses under pressure. People will fear that calmness because they can't read it, and what can't be read can't be controlled. Imagine two people facing the same insult. One explodes in anger, losing control of his image and his words. The other looks straight at the offender and simply smiles. The second person wins without saying anything. He didn't react. He redirected. He didn't fight. He observed. That's psychological mastery. It's not about suppressing emotion. It's about owning it. You control what leaves your mind. You choose when to respond. You decide when to move and when to wait. That level of control separates the rulers from the ruled. Machiavelli advised leaders to appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, and religious, but with a mind so framed that when necessary, you can change to the opposite. This means you must know how to detach from your feelings when they threaten your strategy. If your emotion serves your purpose, use it. If it weakens your position, silence it. Emotion must serve you. It must never enslave you. Detachment also protects your peace. Once you stop reacting to everything, life becomes quieter. You stop wasting energy proving yourself. You stop explaining to people who will never understand. You stop expecting fairness in a world built on power dynamics. Emotional distance gives you clarity. You start seeing patterns instead of problems. You stop taking everything personally and start using it as data. That's when you start winning silently and invisibly. When you master emotional detachment, you stop being a slave to chaos. No insult, betrayal, or failure can truly touch you. You might bend, but you never break. You move through life with stillness instead of fear, because no one can shake a mind that refuses to react. Number 3, expect betrayal. Trust strategy instead of people. Betrayal isn't an exception in human life. It's a fundamental pattern woven into human nature. The sooner you understand that loyalty is temporary and conditional, the faster you stop being shocked when people turn against you. Machiavelli warned that loyalty lasts only as long as it serves someone's self-interest. When that interest ends, their devotion ends too. To survive in a world built on self-interest, you must replace emotional trust with strategic awareness. The wise mind doesn't depend on promises. It builds systems that protect it when those promises inevitably break. Most people suffer because they expect consistency in a world driven by convenience and temporary advantage. They believe loyalty is sacred, but in reality, it's conditional. Expecting betrayal doesn't make you paranoid. It makes you prepared and protected. Machiavelli once said, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." And he meant that people shift their loyalty whenever it benefits them, and you must never take that personally. Betrayal isn't always an act of evil. Sometimes it's just human nature revealing itself. When you understand that, you stop reacting with anger and start responding with clarity. You no longer see betrayal as a tragedy. You see it as information. It shows you who values advantage over integrity, who pretends out of necessity, and who will abandon you when circumstances change. The most strategic minds don't rely on loyalty. They rely on structure. They don't tie their survival to people. They tie it to systems. When you trust emotion, you make yourself dependent. When you trust design and strategy, you make yourself independent and unshakable. Always have a plan that functions, even if everyone turns their back. Always position yourself so no single person holds power over your peace or progress. That's not cold. That's intelligent. Detachment from blind trust doesn't kill connection. It refines it. You start valuing actions over words and patterns over promises. When you expect betrayal, you stop over-investing in illusions. You see through flattery. You notice inconsistencies. You learn to read intentions before they reach your heart. Machiavelli believed that foresight is the greatest form of power. A leader who predicts deception before it happens never loses control. He wrote, "The wise man does not expose himself needlessly to danger, since there are few things for which he cares sufficiently," and he meant that you must learn to care selectively. You learn to protect your energy from unworthy causes and unstable allies. Most people get destroyed not because they're betrayed, but because they refuse to believe it could happen. They live in denial until the knife is already in their back. The Machiavellian mindset removes that dangerous illusion. It accepts human inconsistency as fact and prepares accordingly. You don't build walls around your heart. You build gates that open only for those who've proven loyalty through time and adversity. Even then, you never forget that anyone can change. That's not cynicism, that's power. It means you're alert but not bitter, cautious but not cold, aware but never weak. When you expect betrayal, you stop fearing it. You become mentally untouchable because nothing surprises you anymore. Your strategy becomes your shield. Your clarity becomes your armor. You no longer chase loyalty. You command respect through your calm and preparation. The one who anticipates betrayal never kneels to it. Number 4, appear calm. Think cold and calculating. In a chaotic world, calmness is the most intimidating form of strength that exists. Most people equate composure with softness, but Machiavelli saw it as a weapon of psychological warfare. When you appear calm while others panic, you project superiority without speaking a word. The calm mind observes what the restless cannot see. The cold thinker spots patterns hidden behind emotion. When you can appear serene in the middle of disorder, people start to fear your control. They sense that nothing can shake you, and that mystery becomes absolute dominance. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good," and he didn't mean cruelty. He meant emotional discipline, the ability to detach from kindness when it weakens authority. Being good is easy. Staying calm when everything burns around you is divine. When people expect you to break and you don't, their illusion of power over you collapses completely. Calmness terrifies the unstable. It makes the impulsive hesitate. They can't understand why you don't react, why you don't argue, why you don't crumble. That silence becomes a mirror reflecting their chaos. Your stillness exposes their lack of control. The world respects the one who remains centered under pressure because it's rare. Most minds are slaves to reaction. They speak too quickly, decide too soon, and lose everything to emotion. The cold strategist pauses, studies, and chooses precisely when to move. Patience isn't weakness, it's control over time itself. Machiavelli once said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. And that balance requires a calm surface and a calculating mind beneath it. You must appear tranquil like water, yet sharp like ice below the surface. People should see no trace of your internal process. Never reveal tension, doubt, or fear. Let them wonder if you even feel it. The less they know about your emotional state, the more unpredictable you become. Unpredictability is power because it forces others to play on your terms. To appear calm, you must train your inner voice relentlessly. Every irritation, every insult, every unexpected problem must be met with one question. Does reacting help me win? If the answer is no, you remain silent. That silence unsettles people more than anger ever could. A calm reaction kills arguments faster than aggression. The cold mind doesn't seek victory through words. It wins through energy. Even surrounded by hostility, keep your tone slow, your eyes steady, your gestures minimal. Confidence is communicated through stillness, not noise. This lesson isn't about hiding emotion. It's about mastering display. You control the theater of your presence. What people see should always serve your advantage. Appear rational when others are irrational. Smile when they expect rage. Walk slowly when they rush. Show that you're never moved unless you choose to be. Over time, this aura becomes armor. No one knows your breaking point because you never reveal it. You become the calm in every storm, the observer among reactors, the strategist among victims. Number 5, keep power in silence. Silence is the purest form of control. The more you talk, the more you reveal, and every unnecessary word becomes a window into your mind. Once people can read you, they can predict you. Machiavelli understood that power is preserved through mystery. He knew that silence isn't absence of communication. It's a deliberate strategy of dominance. When you speak less, people imagine more. They fill the silence with their own fears, doubts, and assumptions. That uncertainty becomes your advantage. The quiet man is never ignored. He's studied, analyzed, whispered about. The world underestimates those who speak little until they act, and by then it's already too late to stop them. Words are cheap. Everyone uses them seeking validation. Power doesn't explain itself. When you justify your choices, you give others authority to judge them. When you argue, you admit someone else's opinion matters. Silence destroys that illusion. It sends a clear message. You don't owe anyone understanding. Machiavelli once said, "Never was anything great achieved without danger," and he meant that even restraint carries risk. But silence is a calculated risk. It invites misunderstanding, but it also commands fear. People don't fear what they can predict. They fear what they can't interpret. The quiet individual who listens more than he speaks becomes the most dangerous presence in any room because everyone wonders what he's thinking and what he's planning. To master silence, you must overcome the urge to prove yourself. Most people speak to protect their ego. They explain, defend, overstate to appear in control. Every explanation leaks security. The Machiavellian mind has no such need. It speaks only with intention, only when outcomes demand it. You must become comfortable with pauses, with tension of unspoken words, with letting others drown in their own noise. When you stay silent, you force others to expose their thoughts. You learn their weaknesses while protecting yours. Silence turns conversations into mirrors reflecting the truth of others but never yours. In negotiations, arguments, confrontations, silence bends the entire battlefield. It makes the impatient reveal too much. It makes the arrogant lose control. Every second you hold your tongue, they expose more of their strategy. Machiavelli's philosophy thrived on observation. The silent observer sees everything the loud person forgets to notice. You can read micro-expressions, tone shifts, inconsistencies, details hidden from those too busy talking. Silence isn't absence of power, it's power concentrated. Like a blade sheathed but ready, it holds energy without wasting it. Never underestimate how silence shifts perception. A person who speaks rarely is assumed to think deeply. Their words carry weight because they're scarce. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just have to be the one who doesn't need to speak. That alone separates you from the impulsive and the insecure. Over time, silence becomes your identity. It makes you unpredictable, respected, and feared all at once. When you finally decide to speak, your voice cuts through the air like a weapon because it's used with precision, never habit. Power isn't loud, it's measured. The strongest presence doesn't need noise to be noticed. It needs composure, observation, and patience. Keep your plans hidden, your feelings unreadable, your words minimal. When people can't decode you, they can't defeat you. Silence keeps you untouchable, untamed, one step ahead of every mind trying to control yours. Number 6. Master the art of absence. Presence loses value when it becomes constant. The more accessible you are, the less you're respected. Machiavelli understood that scarcity is the essence of all influence. He knew that a leader who appears too often becomes ordinary, but one who appears rarely becomes a myth. Absence isn't withdrawal, it's strategy. It creates distance that breeds curiosity, authority, and longing. When people can't always reach you, they start imagining your worth. They replay your words, analyze your silence, anticipate your return. That anticipation is power. Every great strategist knows timing matters more than frequency. Appear too much and your presence loses weight. Appear selectively, and every entrance feels like an event. The weak crave constant attention because they fear being forgotten. The strong withdraw deliberately to make their presence heavier. Machiavelli once said, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear, and the wise individual understands that absence can create both. When you disappear, people either miss you or fear losing your favor. Both emotions give you control. Continuous exposure dulls mystery. When people know everything about you, they stop respecting you. When you become slightly out of reach, they imagine more than they know. That imagination strengthens your image far more than visibility ever could. Absence also protects your mind from noise. Constant interaction drains focus and exposes your patterns. The Machiavellian thinker values solitude not for comfort, but for recalibration. When you remove yourself from the crowd, you regain perspective. You begin seeing what others are too distracted to notice. The crowd moves by emotion. The detached mind moves by clarity. To master absence, learn to retreat without explanation. Don't announce your silence. Don't justify your distance. Simply vanish when necessary and return only when your presence serves a purpose. Those who notice your absence reveal who values you. Those who don't reveal who never mattered. The rarest minds understand the rhythm of presence. They know when to step forward and when to vanish. Machiavelli advised rulers to manage visibility carefully. Understanding distance sustains power. A constant flame burns out fast, but a controlled one lasts. You don't need to be everywhere to be felt. You need to be remembered. Your absence must speak louder than others' presence. Let people wonder where you are, what you're thinking, why you withdrew. That uncertainty keeps you relevant even when gone. It makes your silence echo longer than their noise. Disappearing strategically filters loyalty. People who remain consistent during your silence are those truly aligned with your vision. Absence becomes a test of character, separating the curious from the committed. Most individuals seek attention, measuring worth by reaction, but reaction is fragile. True worth is measured by the silence that follows your absence. If people still talk about you, reference you, interpret your actions while you're gone, you've built power that doesn't depend on presence. When you master absence, you command attention effortlessly. You become an idea rather than just a person, something that lingers even when unseen. The world chases what it can't have and respects what it can't control. So step back when you feel the urge to overprove yourself. Create distance that magnifies your value. Disappear not to hide, but to remind the world that your time and energy are privileges, not guarantees. Number 7. Rule your mind. Rule, everything else follows naturally. Every form of power begins within the mind. If you can't command your thoughts, no strategy, wealth, or influence will ever last. Machiavelli understood that the greatest victories are won in silence within the walls of one's own mind. The world belongs to those who can direct their focus, while others drown in distraction. Ruling your mind means mastering every battlefield, because every external challenge starts as an internal reaction. The strongest person isn't one who controls others. It's one who controls himself when everything tries to shake him. When you own your inner world, nothing external can truly touch you. Most people lose the fight long before it begins. They let anxiety dictate their direction and emotion dictate their decisions. Their thoughts move like leaves in wind, driven by circumstance, guided by fear. Machiavelli saw this weakness clearly. He once wrote, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." And what he truly meant was that environment reflects mind. If your surroundings are chaotic, it's because your mind allows chaos. If your world is filled with noise, it's because your thoughts are unguarded. Control begins with awareness. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Discipline them like soldiers who must obey command. Your mind is both your servant and your master. If you fail to govern it, it will betray you. Every doubt, fear, insecurity will rise and rule your decisions. Once you learn to detach from impulsive thinking, your mind becomes a weapon sharper than any blade. Machiavellian strength isn't born from aggression. It's born from composure. The disciplined thinker moves slower, but every move cuts deeper. He doesn't allow the past to haunt him or the future to overwhelm him. He lives in deliberate control of the present. That level of awareness separates conquerors from the conquered. Mental mastery requires constant training. You must replace fear with logic, emotion with intention, noise with silence. Every time your mind wanders toward weakness, pull it back through self-command. Every moment you resist impulse, you grow stronger. Over time, your thoughts start serving you instead of sabotaging you. The world cannot influence someone internally aligned. When insults, betrayal, or failure arrive, they lose power because your mind refuses to give them meaning. Power doesn't come from resisting the world. It comes from mastering how your mind interprets it. Machiavelli believed reason must always rule over desire. Desire blinds judgment. Reason directs it. The one who can remain detached while decisive becomes untouchable. Every empire begins as a disciplined thought. Every downfall begins as a distracted one. When your mind is ruled by fear, the world manipulates you through it. When your mind is ruled by strength, no manipulation can succeed. Control of mind equals control of destiny. You stop living reactively and start moving deliberately, step by step, choice by choice, unshaken by chaos. Rule your mind as a sovereign rules a kingdom. Protect it from invasion by ignorance, corruption, doubt. Feed it discipline. Guard it with focus. Let silence be its throne. Once you rule your thoughts, you no longer chase peace, you become it. Being mentally untouchable doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means nothing can control you. It doesn't mean you become cold or heartless. It means you master your reactions. You become the owner of your focus and the architect of your peace. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every conflict becomes data. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to reinforce your control. Machiavelli taught that power is earned through discipline, observation, strategy, not through luck or temporary favor. When you apply these lessons, you don't just survive the world, you move through it with authority, clarity, unstoppable calm. Remember this fundamental truth: control begins within. When you rule your mind completely, no external circumstance can shake your foundation. Detachment protects you. Silence amplifies you. Absence increases your value. Calmness intimidates. Strategy shields you from betrayal. Perception shapes reality around you. Each lesson reinforces the others, creating a fortress of mental strength that cannot be breached. The untouchable mind doesn't react. It dominates through presence, preparation, patience. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. If you found value in these lessons, take action right now. Hit the like button to show your commitment to your own growth and power. Share this video with someone who desperately needs to awaken their inner strength, and subscribe to this channel because mastering the mind is a journey, not a single lesson. Every new video will sharpen your understanding, expand your strategy, strengthen your resolve. Silence, strategy, self-control. That is the path of the untouchable mind. Step into it, build it, live it. Let the world test you and watch as nothing can ever shake you again. Remember to leave your affirmations in the comments right now. Let those words echo in your mind every single day, and commit to ruling yourself first. Because the moment you own your mind completely, you own absolutely everything.